What is up, my YouTubers, and welcome to Prison Talk Tuesday. All right, so I have a few things to say for my intro first. One, the things I say in this video is not only the things based on my own opinion, but a few others as well. I will not be using names except for a few of my friends that I have made, but this is the raw truth, and so let's begin. All right, so we are now on week 5 of the Prison Talk. And in this episode, I will be talking about bad weather. All right, we have made it to week 5 of the Prison Talk. All right, we have now made it to week 5 of the Prison Talk. First subject. All right, we have now made it to week 5 of Prison Talk. And first up is bad weather. So, obviously, Raleigh, North Carolina is prone to weather, which most prisons are. Let's see, I came in January, so it was really cold and it didn't snow. I mean, it kind of flurried and it didn't stick. But when you are in reception, all you have is a one coat, and yes, it kind of blocks the wind, but you don't have any like head things. So what we would do is, since we were at the bottom of the hill in reception, we'd walk all the way up the hill to the dining hall to have breakfast at 4 o'clock in the morning, and lunch, dinner, etc., etc. We would take our coats and put it over our head because the wind was horrendous and it was really cold. Luckily, we did have pants and stuff because I think Raleigh's prison way back in the day used to have dresses. So, but once you're off reception and you get classified, you do get your thermals and your sweatshirts. So that does help because usually you wear your thermals and your sweatshirt and then your jacket. And I mean, it's cold. Rain. So rainy season is fun. By the time I got into the C dorm, it would flood. A lot of the dorms, well, I call them dorms. They're not really dorms. I guess units, cells. I don't really know what to call them. They call them dorms. I don't know why. Either way, some of the dorms, I guess, I don't know why I call them dorms, would flood. Yes, and when I mean flood because of rain, I mean like the water would come up in the sewers. You couldn't use the showers. It would back up into the showers would then back up into the bathroom, which would cause water into the toilet area. Oh yes, it was fun. The kitchen would flood out in the dining hall area. I don't know about the kitchen where they made the food, etc., but I do know. Yes, and this is why another reason why this prison needs to be shut down, because they would still cook food even though the sewer system was backing up into the kitchen, into the dining hall. Now, when the sewer system did back up into the dining hall and the kitchen area, they still cooked the food. Oh yes, they still cooked the food, but we were not allowed to eat in the dining hall. Now we had two choices. We had to either come to the dining hall and do grab and goes, and what that means is that they either had pack outs, which is basically like a sandwich and like one piece of fruit and like I don't know, something else, or they would give you a hot tray. It just really depended. Uh, and then a lot of the times, though, if it was too bad and too flooded, then they would bring us our food to our dorm areas. And it sucked though because we had to wait for them to call each individual um, housing group to come and get their food. Usually the C dorm where I was housed at was first, just because we had the hospice crowd or whatever. When I say hospice, I mean the people who are waiting to go to medical, waiting for like surgery or something so they can go into medical, or they have wheelchairs and they can't go into other like places down the thing. The only reason why I was housed there with a couple other people is because they called it the transition to find out where they could put us afterwards. But I ended up staying in the C dorm until I moved out into um, the new slash old prison. But I'm getting to that in a different week. So yeah, sometimes we would have pack outs for lunch, dinner, or lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which really sucked. Our breakfast pack outs were usually a hard boiled egg. Um, they didn't even give us toast. They would give us like bread and a little cup of cereal and then milk. And it's funny because they would always yell at us that we can't keep our milks and that we'd have to eat our fruit and whatever. One, if you're giving us pack outs and you're expecting us to eat in our units, then don't expect us to not eat everything and not hoard it in our lockers. I do understand now why they wanted us to eat the fruit, because obviously if you have too many fruit in your locker, you can make hooch, and that's a different week, which we will talk about. Moving forward, they decided, um, the new warden decided to shut down the bottom of the hill and do renovations to the prison, which, by the way, yeah, no. Um, they were going to remodel some of these condemned areas. And when I mean condemned, I mean the mold from the sewer system flooding, the crumbling ceilings, the crumbling drywall. Um, oh, what else? The showers and the toilets that did not work and would back up or not flush properly. The sinks that would be, yeah, yeah, no, yeah. Now, I can't speak for all of the units, but I know most of the bottom of the hill was the worst. And then C dorm was also really, really bad because I don't know why our unit would flood so often. I don't know if it's because it was with the dining hall or we were in a different sewer line. I don't know, but the C dorm would flood all the time, and yeah. But basically, when the prison decided to do renovations, they had to do mass transfers. And when I meant mass transfers, that means that either people would go to Swannanoa, which is in the mountains, or Anson, which is in Charlotte. And sadly, um, Swannanoa got um, that hurricane, which is coming up in a different week. But so they did like a bunch of transfers, and if you were on the transfer list, then they would most likely ship you out. Now, if you did not like where you are at in Raleigh, which 90% of everybody did not like Raleigh at all, I wanted to stay in Raleigh because it was closer to home. So if anybody did a visit with me, they, and I was so worried I'd be transferred out because some people who weren't even on the transfer list, like request for transfers or whatever, could be transferred out. However, I found out that I was not allowed to be transferred to, I think it was either Anson or Swannanoa. One of them I could not be transferred to because I was on a medical hold. And when I mean that, I mean like I was on psychiatric medications. So I was not able to be transferred out to one of the prisons. I could be transferred out to the other one because they just opened it up. And another thing is that we're only taking people in purple and not in teal. So if you were a medium um, security or higher, they were only transferring those people at first, which then they started taking teal people. And if you didn't like Raleigh, if you hear Trenton in the background, he's mad because he locked himself out. Anyways, so you could put in to transfer out if you wanted to. It took a while. You had to be on top of it and keep telling them that you want to transfer, and you had to keep checking up on it because a lot of people wanted to be transferred. Um, then, since we had a lot of people in the jails all over the state that needed to come into Raleigh, so let's just say this. Let's say I can't remember how many dorm rooms we had. And hold on here. Trenton, stop. All right. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right. I think there was like, well, I don't know, 15, 16 different like housing units. We'll just pretend like that. We'll just say 15 because I have no idea what the numbers are at the moment. Basically, they shut down about 7 of those dorms that were at the bottom of the hill. So you had the rest of them. So what, 15 minus 7 is what, 9 left. So you had all these people who were supposed to be transferring out so we can get the people who are in jail to come in. Well, oh yes, this was fun. So what they ended up doing is they ended up putting beds in the auditorium, and then they decided to take beds and put them in the B-sides, like this, like where I was housed at, the B-sides day room. So our dorm had, I think, 12 beds in there, and that, and they had beds in, I think they had like 60 beds in the auditorium. They didn't have a bathroom in the auditorium. So, well, they have a bathroom, but not like showers. So they had to, if you wanted to shower, you only had like a certain amount of time, or certain times of the day that you could shower, and they would take you, and and if you're in code red or code whatever, you're screwed basically. So basically what they were doing was highly, highly illegal and highly unhygienic and unethical and whatever else. So yeah, they had too many inmates coming in, and why they could not leave the inmates in the jails, I don't know. I'm sure that there's a reason, because the jails were overloaded all over the state. I understand it. But at the same time, and I know that they were doing mass transfers out, so you would think that they would have room. No. So they were bringing more people in than they were transferring out. So the prison ended up having more people that we couldn't accommodate. Yes. That was a whole other issue. Because it was just, then the auditorium started to, they didn't have any heat. They didn't have any air conditioning. They, people were getting injured. I mean, it was unhygienic. You had 60 beds, well, bunk beds. So that's 120 people for what, 1 or 2 bathrooms. I mean, that's ridiculous. And then we had 12 beds, so that's 24 extra people in a 64 room dorm. So 64 plus 24, you do the math, for, yeah, I mean, that's just insane. And they expected us all to get along and no fights and all this other stuff. It's like, you can't expect inmates in these conditions to be able, like, so whatever. Dentist. You can request a free dental cleaning. So I requested mine March 1st, 2024, and then I got part 1 done in June. June 21st, 2024. So basically, they just cleaned my teeth, and then they said follow up on the outside. My teeth were actually really, really good. They didn't do an X-ray or anything. You can request like them to do the X-ray and to do like an extensive cleaning and all this other stuff if you really want to, and that they will charge you for that. But I did the free dental cleaning, and I figured I could follow up on the outside. Now, if you have teeth issues, again, if it's an emergency, we talked about that last week, you know. Now, to get into the dentist, it does take a while. Like I said, I requested it in March, and it took me till June to get the first cleaning. I actually forgot about it when they actually sent me my letter that says, hey, you have a dentist appointment coming up. I'm like, really? Eye exam and glasses. So I submitted me to get glasses because I was not allowed to bring my glasses in because they were metal frames. I had to have a prescription from the doctor to bring my metal frames in, and since I didn't have that prescription with me, they wouldn't allow me to have them. Or what I could have done is had them given to their doctor, and they could look at them and see that they're not like, whatever, and that I actually do need them. Then I could have kept them. But I submitted for my eye exam April 10th, and then I had my first part of the test May 19th, and like they did the complete eye test, where you do like left, right, which is it blurry, is it clear, all that stuff. They did not dilate my eyes. And then my glasses came in July 13th, and you get to pick your glasses. You either get black frames or brown frames. I do have them still, but the one band part broke. I was keeping them as a backup here. But you know, they're prison glasses. They're thick plastic. I like them personally. They actually seem like they worked a little bit better than the glasses I have here. Um, but yeah, I wore those a lot. It helped when I was in classes a lot because then I could see. It really helped when I was in my dorm room and I didn't feel like getting out and I can watch TV. And what was great was when I was in the C dorm, my bed actually faced the day room, so I could actually see the TV in the day room. Oh, and here's a fun fact about in the I don't know about all the dorms. I'm just speaking from the C dorm because that's where I was housed. I'm pretty sure this can happen everywhere. You can turn if you have a radio. Um, I don't know if you could do this on the tablet radio, but if you do have a radio, you can tune in to the channel of the TV. It's like let's say like 107.5 or something. I don't actually remember it, but you can actually tune into the TV, whatever that's on TV, and listen to it with your if you have headphones, of course. So that way, if the TV's down low, you can still hear it, which didn't always work. So um, let's see, my weight check in May. I got a weight check. Just because I was on Effexor and they have to, you know, make sure that you're not losing too much weight and all that stuff. So I went into prison. I said 134, 135. By the time May rolled around on Friday, May 17th, I weighed 118. Um, I don't know if that's a lot of weight to lose or not, but I mean, I really didn't eat for a while. So therapy, um, they, if you're on psych meds, they do kind of make you go to therapy. It's not really therapy per se. You go, I mean, you do see a therapist. You're supposed to see them like once a month or whenever. And what's cool is that they did give me a notebook, which is a lifesaver. If you can get a free notebook, that is like gold. Trust me, it is gold because they run out of notebooks. You cannot buy notebooks on Canteen. You can buy the yellow legal pads, but you can't buy notebooks. And why notebooks are better than legal pads, I don't know. But if you can find a notebook anywhere, take that, especially pens. But yeah, I think I only saw a therapist like twice before I moved to the new prison. So, and all we did was talk about my medication and how prison is like affecting me and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was kind of useless. They did start a group therapy. They were just starting that as I was actually about to leave prison altogether. And I could have volunteered to do that, but I decided not to because I just didn't feel like, um, yeah, I'll get to that in a different week. But we already talked about request to move and moving out. Oh yes, request to move out. So, um, in addition to wanting to leave this prison and go to a different prison, requesting to move out of the C dorm, we had just found out that the new prison, we called it Little Raleigh. It's actually called, what was it called? Oh, now I can't remember what it was called. Um, it escapes me. I'll probably talk about that in a canary in it. So Canary is what this I call it the new prison. It was open years ago and then it closed down because it had damage from weather, and then they supposedly they renovated it, and we were supposed to have like air conditioning and heat and all this stuff, so it was going to be so much better. And you could only be minimum security, so you had to be in teal. You could only be in teal to go over there, and you couldn't have any like write-ups or anything. Now you can, if you've got write-ups over there, that's a different story. You can't have any like things on you so you can transfer. But if you wanted to go to Canary, which I really, really, really did, because I hated the seating in it. I mean, I was getting to a point where my mental health was like, just the fact that it was an open pod with the guard in there, I could not do it anymore. I could not. And my mental health was suffering so badly. I mean, I was ready, like, oh, it was so horrible. So I sent a request in to be moved to Canary ASAP. And I think as soon as I sent the request in, I think like that next day or that next day after that, I pretty much moved. So that was awesome. Um, and then no pictures or printouts, which we already talked about last week. I do have one extra thing that I wrote down in my phone that I forgot to talk about last week. Let's see if I can find it here. That I do know. I do have one more thing that I forgot to talk about last week that I'm going to talk about in this week. It's I forgot on how to use the tablets, kiosk, and phones. So basically, if you're on any of them, you put your inmate number in, and then you put your 4-digit code. If you're on the kiosk, you just put your inmate code in, and then you put your 4-digit code, and then you take your picture, and then you're in. The phone, you have to have, you can say, you don't have to give your name. You could say anything you want to, but we have to remember what you said first, and your voice has to match exactly to it's a voice match thing. And a lot of times the phones would not work because of the noise in the background. I know that there's ways around it, like you could blow in the phone or you could press 0. I don't know, but there are ways around it if you couldn't get on your phone, or you can have somebody else try. Headphones. You do need headphones if you have a radio. I'm sure that's pretty common sense. And if you want to listen to anything on the tablet, headphones are kind of like a necessity. You don't necessarily need headphones for the phone on the tablet. And the phone on the tablet is free, by the way, but it does help. You just it feels like a big giant, it's an iPad. So it just feels like a really big 90s flat phone, but you kind of have to like put the speaker up really like here. The people can't hear it because that's how I would talk to Jim a lot when I would use phone calls. I will say that tablets, depending now on your unit and the guards, usually they give out tablets at 8 a.m., 9 a.m., something like that. And you want your tablet. And the reason why is because you could be in a code at any time. And if you need to use the phone at any time, that's why you want your tablet. And technically, when we were in a C dorm, you weren't allowed to be on your tablets if it's account time. So that kind of sucked too, because a lot of people wanted to be on their tablets. I have chicken in my bed, Trenton. Why is there chicken in here? But yeah, so I think that's everything that we covered for this week, week 5. I'm sure if I leave anything out, I can add it in later on. But on the note, any questions, comments, concerns, or advice, you guys can list them below. Also follow me on my other socials because I do post teasers to my videos that I'm about to upload. And on that on that note, until week 6, you guys stay awesome. Bye. If you have been or know somebody who has been incarcerated in New Hanover County, if you have been, if you personally have been or know somebody who has been or is still currently incarcerated in North Carolina Correctional Institution for Women located in Raleigh, North Carolina, and would like to help do something about helping these women out, please like this video, comment below, and share this video. We need to be the voices on the outside to help these females. Please be kind to each other in the comments and stay awesome. Bye.